Alright guys, Techrobit here again today, and there's a fair few things to talk about once again. Yesterday, Nadeshot's Self-Made podcast came out alongside HECZ. A fair few things were talked about. I will share a clip that's been going around on Twitter from that podcast. I'll leave all the relevant links down in the description box below as always. Then we'll go through the Pro League and we'll see what happened there. And leading up to CWL Anaheim coming next weekend. So if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you are new as always, and let's hop right into the content of today's video. So firstly, we have the following article from Amanda. I don't even try and pronounce your surname, known as Pandax, I believe, on Twitter. I'll leave all these links down below. So this article, I don't exactly want to go through it because I'd prefer you guys just actually read it yourselves. But yeah, so supposedly it talks about a fair few things. The fact that Infinite Esports and Entertainment, who own Optic Gaming or own a majority share in it, were losing $1 million a month. They laid off a lot of employees, including Chris Cheney and apparently 19 other employees back in October last year, which is a similar time to where HECZ says he put in a bid to try and buy Optic back off Infinite Esports, which is what he says. I'll put the clip on screen in probably a couple minutes here. So it says that HECZ owns 10% of Optic Gaming only, less than 10% of Infinite Esports, less than 10% of Aurelius Esports, which supposedly is some sort of like holding company that holds the shares and controls the shares in Infinite. Complicated little array of mergers and acquisitions going on. But yes, so HECZ doesn't have a particular amount of control. Ryan J. Musselman, the president of Infinite, is still in that position as far as I understand it. So what HECZ says in this clip, which I will put on screen for you guys now so you can just go and watch it.
So where is Optic going? What is Optic going to be? This is
as of this moment, and it's public, obviously, that Immortals is making a bid for it. It wasn't as good as the bid that I submitted to get Optic back, but for whatever reason.
Wait.
Yeah.
You submitted your own bid to buy Optic back yourself?
Yep. Yeah.
Explain that.
Explain me. So it was simple. Six months ago, I approached the ownership group. 7 months ago, I approached the ownership group, and I said, let me get Optic back. I wasn't asking for a discount. I was trying to make them some money, so they, whatever. We gave it a good run. It's not working. I tried to warn them at the beginning of the year that, what was happening at that point in time it just wasn't sustainable.
He confirms a rumor that we heard a while ago that he did in fact outbid Immortals. Now, we heard a little bit ago that Immortals were obviously putting in a bid to buy this. They mainly want the League of Legends spot, but they wanted to buy control of Infinite so they could have control of Optic Gaming as well and get all their associated brands, including the League of Legends spot, which is what they're particularly interested in. Now, it was rumors that HECZ and his group, supposedly with Chris Cheney included, who was removed from the Infinite Esports company a while ago that we just talked about in that Pandax article, and supposedly they put together a bid that was greater than Immortals. But Richard Lewis, obviously a very respectable esports journalist, said that one of his sources had said that wasn't true because we'd heard that it was some sort of grudge from Infinite that had prevented HECZ from winning the bid. But he says on this podcast here that in fact he did have a higher bid, and which very much implies that there is some sort of grudge being held against HECZ having control, because if there wasn't, then why would they just not take the bigger bid if we're assuming what HECZ is saying to be true, which there's no reason not to. So yes, this was that post 21 days ago from Dragon Master on the Optic Gaming subreddit, I believe, saying that someone on the board doesn't want HECZ to win and there's a grudge against HECZ. And Chris Cheney this is. So yes, supposedly that's what's going on, and it adds more fuel to the fire really. So very interesting, of course. We also have the following. This is not necessarily verifiable, but Intel Call of Duty, the Twitter account, does tweet out that Crunchbase.com, which talks about like mergers and acquisitions and stuff, does say that Immortals Gaming Club have acquired Infinite Esports and Entertainment, as you can see in this image right here. But it must be noted that anyone can go on these websites and update things, so it's not necessarily true that they actually have done this. It may be someone updating it just to try and mess with people or trying to actually update everyone, but it does seem like everyone can update things because it says in this thing, anyone with a socially verified Crunchbase user account can create and make updates to any profile type. And then we have this one where supposedly they acquired Pornhub for $1. So that's rather unlikely, I would suggest. And therefore, take that with a grain of salt, but we did hear yesterday that it is relatively likely that Immortals have indeed acquired Infinite, and the HECZ podcast was delayed by 1 day for technical difficulties. So it's possible that's still, when that was recorded, it was before things had all been finalised. So we're expecting some sort of announcement in the coming days. Of course, by the time Anaheim rolls around, Codburner was saying that the Optic guys might not be under Optic anymore. I see that as rather unlikely, but we'll just have to see because it's just over a week's time Anaheim begins. So anyway, let's move on to the Pro League here. Yesterday, a lot of matches and, well, 4 matches, as there always is. I don't know what I'm on about. They were very quick. It actually ended super quickly yesterday. A lot of hot 3-0s. And yeah, we'll go through the matches. So yes, first up here, we have 100 Thieves versus Elevate. And Elevate looked pretty damn good the last couple of days. Of course, they took E United to a game 5, winning both hardpoints. But 100 Thieves still probably considered the best respawn team in the entire game right now. Of course, haven't seen them up against Optic Gaming for a while, but we'll have to see. Hopefully we get that matchup at Anaheim. Would be quite nice. I do feel like some of these teams as well, 100 Thieves, E United, because they're already up at the upper echelons, they're going to qualify for playoffs. They are trying to expand their map pool a little bit and play some things that are slightly out of their comfort zone. So that's cool to see. And maybe that has contributed to them losing a few more maps than you would expect, because you do really need to be a well-rounded team if you're going to be at the top of your game, because otherwise the real good opponents, they're going to be able to veto your best maps and you know, neutralize some of your advantages. So anyway, map number 1, pretty damn comfortable for 100 Thieves. It started off pretty close, but 100 Thieves pulled away. A sign of a really good team, in my opinion. Octane had a much better series today than he did yesterday, so he was back on form. And then map number 2, 100 Thieves ran away with it here on payload. The only round they lost was a round that they shouldn't have lost. They had a really nice strategy on payload on the attack. Breezy and Whalers were playing for information over towards the A-bomb site, and they didn't see anything at all, but there were like 4 or 500 Thieves players there. They were just holding very tight angles and staying behind cover, caught the perfect timing to push up on A, shot Breezy in the side, and then instead of planting the bomb, I think they just pushed out to the other team's spawn. Actually, no, they did plant the bomb this round. There's another round I'm thinking of. But for some reason, I think it was Priester who got completely gunned off the head glitch, and then Octane jumped off the map for some reason. So they should have won that round as well, but every other round was very, very comfortable. And, I mean, 100 Thieves didn't make any mistakes, to be honest, this series. They completely outplayed Elevate, and, I mean, this is kind of the result you would expect to see, but just with Elevate playing how well they have the last couple of weeks, I was maybe expecting a slightly closer series. But yeah, 100 Thieves just dominated it, and then the final game as well, it was a 3-0 in the control. It was probably one of the quickest series we've ever seen. Just completely dominant. Priester just took over this last map as well, and that was all she wrote, basically. Nobody really had a good series on the side of Elevate. They all got completely smoked. Like, look at these overall KDs. That is just incredible stuff. So yeah, once again, thanks to these scoreboards goes to Kamal, and I'll leave his links down in the description box below. Easy Mac has moved on to bigger and better things than scoreboard. He's working as an analyst for some teams, so he's not doing the scoreboards quite as often, but I think these are a lovely replacement. So next up we have Not Denial versus E United. Of course, Denial as an organisation has now gone into, well, not gone into administration, but they have now shut down as an organisation, so still looking for a new squad to represent the guys on Denial, but of course, or not Denial, but it's difficult to find an organisation that's going to be too willing to invest here, because they're going to have to buy the league spot out from the likes of MLG, and I think the players now own the spot, so, but then again, you invest, there's no point investing if you're not going to get a franchise spot next season, so I'd be interested to see if any organisation does decide to step in here and pick these guys up. And map number one was really, really comfortable for United. Denial were honestly all over the place. Like, they couldn't get anything going. Brack has 7 kills. Not a good sign on the likes of Denial. I think this was on Arsenal, and yeah, like, this was just not even close. Like, the amount of the fact that the kills are so low on both sides just shows how much of an absolute whitewash this was. Even they got a lot of points early on to Denial on one of the early hills, but after that, United just absolutely cruised through the map. Game 2, Denial actually did win the Search and Destroy here, which was impressive. Like, they do have it within them to win a couple of Search and Destroys here or there. Bance was putting in work with the sniper, and Joe clutched a really nice 1v2 actually to close out the game. It was a Beezy and Simp against Joe, and Pinnington does the job. So yes, impressive, but they lose all the respawns. Game 3, yeah, pretty comfortable for United. They crushed it. And yeah, once again, like, the slaying just not quite there on Denial. Of course, this United squad is very, very good. One of the best teams in the game right now. Not expecting Denial to put up that much of a fight. And yeah, the final map once again was just comfortable for United. So yeah, Denial's hardpoint just looking very, very disjointed, I would say, right now. And they honestly seem to be all over the place. Not too much trading going on. When United play, it's much more of a cohesive unit. And yeah, Pristini has been playing very, very well, which is something to mention here on the side of E United, because if Pristini can keep up this performance going into Anaheim, he's been talking on Twitter how he felt like, he was kind of replaceable a couple of weeks ago, really been trying to improve his own game. He gets the MVP of the series here, 74 kills over the course of it. He's been very, very good over the last few days or so, and that is a very scary prospect, because if you've got, RST's a very, very good ICR, Simpanabizi on your SMGs, Clayster's going to put up a pretty solid performance, and he has been quite good in searches of late. And then we've got Pristini here, who, if you can get Pristini being like a hard carry type player as well, then this United squad is going to be a very, very scary prospect. So moving onwards, Splyce versus Heretics. This was a fun one. I'll leave the post-game interview that Temp did right at the end of this video, which I'm sure you guys will enjoy. This was somewhat difficult to call because Heretics have been really, really good in their game 5s as of late. So if it went there, I was kind of leaning to Heretics, but I thought Splyce would take it 3-1. And indeed they did, because their hardpoint has been very strong. And Nolson once again putting on a clinic. Of course, it's Donny Temp, man. He does what he wants. He was just absolutely crushing it this series. 31 in 19, map number 1. It's kind of funny, really, because he started off kind of even. And also, this was on frequency, which is Heretics' probably best hardpoint map from what I've seen. They've crushed a lot of good teams on frequency hardpoint recently. And Splyce played it incredibly well. Their final rotations to finish off the game were incredibly comfortable, and they just played perfect Call of Duty, really. And I think the desk said it well when they were talking about how Nolson is very, very good at not over-challenging. He can get a 1-piece, he can get a 2-piece, but he's always going to play his life and wait for the supporting cast around him. He's not dying on his own out there for no reason. So I think he's been very, very impressive, and there's been a real impact on this squad. Temp is somehow leading the damage stats every single. I think JP did a tweet. He said that Temp has led the damage stats every week since the start of the Pro League, which is genuinely unbelievable. He has 6,500 damage again this map, which is just mind-blowing stuff, really. And yes, so, Splyce take map number 1 off the back of a huge performance from the likes of the guys. And yeah, game 2, Splyce take it as well. A little bit close towards the end. It got to 4-4, but yeah, Nolson did very, very well. 11 and 8 for him, 2,000 damage, nearly enough to topple Temp at 10 and 7. But he obviously tops the damage stats because you know how it is. It's Donny Temp, baby. And yeah, Splyce looking a lot better as a unit because Heretics have been looking pretty damn good as of late. But they do win the control. Impressive stuff, really. Splyce had a decent chance here, but that round 2 especially did really cost them, because round 2 they had a great chance at the beginning. They went up significantly in lives, and it didn't work out towards the end. And so Temp goes 21 in 24, but he's got 5,200 damage. I don't know how he gets this much damage, man. It's honestly remarkable. But yeah, they lose map number 3, and I was thinking, are Splyce going to get reverse swept here? Because Heretics in their game 5s have been very, very good. I think there's something like 11 in 3 in game 5s, or also I heard a very good stat. They're at least 75% win rate or something like that in game 5s this season. And map 4 Methods goes 6 in 28. That is not so nice. And yeah, Splyce end up taking it. Crucial to note here, though, that Heretics have swapped back to this situation where they've got Method sick on this SMG. And I do think, despite him dropping horrible numbers here, I do think that it is better with him on that role, because they did try it before with him on the ICR and then Sakri on the SMG at the start of last week. Really didn't seem to be working for them. I think it is better that Methods is just a pure bait on the SMG and then the rest of the guys just work around him. Obviously, this map, he had a horrible map, so there's nothing you can too much say about that, but I do think that is probably the best way to go. But yeah, the slaying power on Splyce just unmatched right now, and Nolson in the team definitely seems to be adding some slaying power and also refreshing the vibes. And this squad is honestly very, very scary right now, and I'm impressed with the way they've performed the last couple of days. However, crucial to note that in fact the team they beat yesterday in Envy also had a pretty damn bad result today, so it's yet to be seen really how quite good Splyce are. Of course, I guess you could say the honeymoon period right now, and Temp and Nolson on the Maddoxes is just a fun thing to watch. And I guess they have the strongest gun in their hands, and they are putting on a clinic right now. Heretics couldn't get close. Methods has a 0.56 AKD over the course of the series. Not pretty, but he'll bounce back tomorrow, I am sure of it. Final series of the day, Envy versus Enigma 6. This map 1 was arguably Envy's for the taking. They had a really crazy situation where on the first hardpoint, or on the rotation back to the first hardpoint, they're unfortunately, Black Ops 4 doesn't give you the tick like World War II did, so they had to leave the old hill because it would have left them on 249, and then they just lost the rotation. Kismet went completely off. General had a very good series as well, 41 in 22 for Kismet. Game 2, Envy just got completely crushed. The fact that they've got so many S&D stars on their team in Decimate and Pharaoh, and like Belvos as a coach, they just couldn't get anything going at all. Completely destroyed by the likes of Enigma 6. And then Game 3 was very, very close. The score was a little bit messed up here, Cam told me, because there was in fact a reset in this game. Envy went up 1-0 at the start, and then the game crashed. It had to reset, and then they played again from there, and then Enigma 6 still won it in a round 5. So pretty incredible that Enigma 6 get this 3-0. It was kind of always coming that they would at some point have a good upset victory against one of the better teams, or maybe not better, but at least higher ranked. But yeah, Envy not looking good right now by any means at all. And I guess if they'd have won that first hardpoint, things could have gone very differently. I still think they're a solid team on their day, and but Enigma 6 just got the better of them here. Kismet and Frosty went off over the course of the series. Very impressive from them. And these are tonight's matches. Enigma 6 are playing Denial. Gotta favour Enigma 6 on current form. Elevate Envy is actually quite an interesting one. And the way they played yesterday, it's difficult to say. Probably going to favour Envy, but whenever I do that, they always lose. E-United versus Heretics should be E-United's game to lose. And then 100 Thieves Splice is a fun way to finish things off here. I think that 100 Thieves should be favourites for me. I still think Splice may be a slight honeymoon period. It might take them a little bit longer to get really things together. And yes, 100 Thieves, if they're hardpoint, it will come down to the hardpoints, I think. If 100 Thieves can win their hardpoints as they crushed Elevate on today, then they should win the series. So I'm probably going to favour 100 Thieves. Probably, for my money, still the best team in the game. But we'll just have to see. So yeah, like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. And I will see you next time.
I have no clue. I don't know. I'm not surprised. I've been playing for a while. I went pro when I was 15. I'm almost 20 now. So 5 years of playing, you don't really get surprised too much. I don't know. I'm not surprised.
All right. Well, then tomorrow you'll be facing 100 Thieves. What are you expecting out of them?
Free dubs, free cash. You know the vibes. Come on, 100 T, they can't kill me. I'm their idol, low key. So, I mean, as long as I do my job, we should be good.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. This has been your PlayStation Instant Reaction. Over to Katie at the desk.
Thank you, Jess.